Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and what we're looking at in this episode is the Ogata Shitogami number 2 Bunka 165mm knife. Mark did market this line under the Shungo name, so if you're looking for that and say that looks familiar, yeah, they did have this line of knives, they just renamed them. So same maker, same features, same characteristics. So this lineup of knives has a core steel of Shitogami or white paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. Target heat treats around 61 Rockwell for that, give or take a little because they're handmade. And the construction is a reactive iron cladding, multi-layered cladding with a kudauchi or protective blacksmith finish over the top of that on each side of that white number 2 core. So you've got softer iron cladding on the top of each side of that harder core steel. And so the blade is all reactive. There's no stainless here at all. So the core steel is usually actually a little bit less reactive than the cladding on these. That's kind of a standard practice. But let's take a closer look at the blade when we finish these statistics. The weight on this, it's pretty light. It's a light little nimble guy. So this is 121 grams or 4.3 ounces. And these dimensions and weights will vary. Thicknesses will vary just a little bit from knife to knife since they're hand hammered. But this particular one's a 172 on the edge from tip to chin, about 6.8 inches, and about a little over 15 inches for the entire knife. The spine thickness on this one coming out of the handle thins out, and then above the back of the blade it's about 3.3 millimeters. And then pretty nice taper, just kind of a continuous taper all the way down till we hit the turn on the reverse sword tip, and then it thins out actually in that where you hit the grind and gets really thin, it's wafer thin at the very tip. We'll get a look at that, and we'll get a close-up of that. But anyway, 47.2 millimeters is the height of the blade overall, and again these will vary a little bit. Handles are just a nicely made oval ambidextrous rosewood main part of the handle with a black packer wood or stabilized wood ferrule. Real nice smooth handle, and the install's nice and tight. Looks like a pretty darn clean install. So just a nice job on that. The balance point's going to be a little further back on this because the blade's so light and the handle's got a little bit of mass to it. And it's got a little bit of length to it. So there's your balance point. So again, it's going to be a little, behind your pinch grip, really nimble. If you do kind of a racket style grip, it'll be a little bit more weight forward, relatively speaking, but real flickable light blade. The cool thing about Bunkas with that reverse sword tip, they just look really cool, and they are attention getters in the kitchen. Everybody goes, "What's that?" It's pretty cool. So let's take a close-up look at it. So you can see the multi-layered reactive iron cladding. You can see the core steel at the edge. I have not used this. It just has kind of a out-of-the-box patina to it with the way they did whatever they did at the factory on these, at the shop, I should say. Wouldn't say these are made in a factory, they're made in a shop. Let me correct myself there. So here's your kudauchi finish. It's actually fairly smooth, but it's very, very matte, so there's not much polish to it, but it's not real textured. So it's got a fairly smooth finish to it. On the back side of the blade, you do have some chiseled kanji, but it's kind of hidden with that kudauchi finish, but it's definitely chiseled and it is there, and you can feel it when you run your fingers over it. Nice fit and finish on, as I said, the handle install. And then this is a true what they call sanmai, so you can actually, when you look at, if you get one of these, take a look at the spine and you'll see the core steel showing through, and you'll see the 3-layer sandwich. So the cladding does not cover the top of the spine, so this is a true sanmai type of construction on this. The spine is relieved a little bit on the corners, and the back of the blade, the choil into the neck, is also relieved, so it's very comfortable out of the box. Out of the box edge, I'd say it was pretty clean. I give it a 5, maybe even a 6. It's somewhat polished and pretty darn sharp out of the box, so pretty well ready to go. Although if you sharpen, you may just want to put your own edge on it and really sharpen it up. The steel will get extremely sharp, of course, being Shitogami number 2. Here is the edge profile on the knife. We'll get a look at it, but look how thin that baby gets at the edge. So these are ground with a high performance grind that are very thin at the edge. Here's your profile, I should say, not the profile, the spine, but look how thin that gets right at the tip. These babies are really thin right at the tip. Let's take a look at it on our cutting board. So performance should be excellent on these. Here's what it looks like. So fairly curvy, though just kind of a gentle low curve, kind of Santoku-ish, which is pretty standard for a lot of bunkas. Some are very, very flat, but most of them have a gentle curve. So you can see not a lot of flat spot here. I can get to about right there before I start digging the tip in. So these, with the way the tip is so low, these aren't really made for rocking, but you could rock over small stuff, no problem. And it's a real smooth profile from that point of view. The tips are great on these for precise work, so you can get in there and deal really well with, small stuff, shallots, garlic, that kind of stuff if you want to, and detailed cuts on things. So just a cool knife with high performance geometry, nice grinds. The grinds are well done when you sight down the blade. You can see they're pretty doggone clean. So they kind of took their time on this blade, and all their knives I've seen have been pretty darn clean in terms of general grind. So there you have an interesting knife, another one of those pretty cool Bunka knives. So this is the Ogata Shidogami number 2 Bunka 165mm knife.